When we're running our programs, sometimes it's possible that we give the computer an instruction that can't be followed. So here's a very simple example in processing. We're calculating a value for y, and we're trying to calculate 20 divided by 0. We know that division by 0 is not defined, so when we ask a computer to do that, we're getting an error. It's called an arithmetic exception, and it says divide by 0. So an exception is another name for error. Here's an example in BlueJ. So in this program, we're going to try to take input and convert that input into a double value. Now, when I run this program, I'm going to give it a value that can't be converted into a double. When I press enter, I get a number format exception. So an exception is a type of error in Java. And that's because there's no way to convert this string into a decimal number. Some program errors are the result of giving the computer an instruction that isn't possible. Examples of this are dividing by 0 or converting letters into a double. These are runtime errors. In Java, they result in exceptions. Let's run our bank program. So it says your bank balance is $1,000. How much would you like to withdraw? I'm going to say $200. And it calculates the new balance of $800, and then the program ends. So the statements that take input are the part where we ask for the amount that we want to withdraw. So when we write input.nextLine, we're getting input. So we're going to put a circle around that statement. The boxes, the part that does processing is when we do a subtraction from the balance, and that's shown by the box. Output is done whenever we print anything to the screen. So anytime you see a system.out.println, we're doing output. So to define input, we're going to say information that is provided to the program while it is running. So some examples are typing from the keyboard, information that's coming from a file, images from a webcam, or sound from a microphone. Processing is work that is done with the information. Examples of processing are arithmetic with integers, combining strings to make sentences, and possibly modifying a stored image like a JPEG. Output is information that a program provides while it is running. Examples of output are printing numbers and sentences to the screen, playing music through the speakers, or displaying an image on your monitor. In Flowgrythm, we write programs using a flowchart and pictures. So here we have a flowchart that is very short. It starts and stops. If we want to add to the program, we click on the arrow and we select one of these instructions to do. So I want to just output, and if I double click on that, I can enter something to output for my program. And if I click play, it runs my program and prints out my message. Suppose I wanted to take input for my program. First thing I have to do is declare a variable. In this case, I'm going to make a name variable, and it's going to store a string Once I have that variable, I can do my input. And I'm going to do something with my input and output it. And here I've made an error. The error I made was that I put a plus sign instead of an ampersand. Flowgriddom just uses ampersands instead of plus signs. And there's the output to my program. Another way I could have done this program is, instead of just outputting the string like this, I could have assigned it to a variable first. So I'm going to make a sentence variable that stores a string, and then I'm going to assign to that sentence variable and then I'm just going to output sentence. So it should work exactly the same way. And so in this example, we've got input, we've got processing, and we have output. Let's run the read text file example. This program prints out two strings, and what it's doing is it's reading from a text file. So in this case, it's reading from the sauces.txt file, and it has read the first two strings in that file and output it to the screen. So the program is getting input from the file. Let's see how it does that. So we have to import a number of classes in order to do this. Some of it we're just going to kind of ignore for now. I'm not going to worry too much about what this means. So the more interesting part is that we're opening the file. Notice that the file is in the same folder as our project. Otherwise, the program's not going to be able to find the file. And we're opening a scanner, and instead of using system.io, we're using the text file object. And we are simply printing the next line of each line in the text file. In write text file, we are writing to a file, and the file is called output.txt. So if we look at output.txt inside the folder, we can check the file date after we run it, and we'll see that it's the current time and date. And if we open it, we will see a sentence. This is my test output. Looking at the program, we're opening a file as before, and we're using a file writer with that object. We're using a file writer instead of a scanner. And we're using the write method to write a sentence, and then when we're done, we're closing the file.